Again, today is August 10th, 2015. Here's another page on the reasons why establishment's planet formation models do not work. I'll link this to the bottom. I'll go ahead and read the whole thing out. If you want to read along, go ahead. Rocks and minerals in establishment astronomy form in vacuum. This is a fact. What they never tell people is how exactly do the rocks and minerals form to begin with, before they clump together. The protoplanetary disk requires that the rocks and minerals form in vacuum. Not only that, but they ignore the chemical reactions required to form the compounds rocks and minerals are comprised of. To them, elements just clump together because of gravity, forming rocks. I know it sounds boring, but it's very important. Rocks and minerals are comprised of chemical compounds. Where was the activation energy provided to combine the elements together for mineral formation in the vacuum of outer space? As well, how the hell did they explain crystal growth in vacuum, absent a gravitational body to provide the direction for deposition? People need to understand this fact. Vacuum does not possess pressure. That's why they call it vacuum. And I put here standard enthalpy of formation. So literally, we have chemistry being ignored, albeit haphazardly, to account for the fact that the majority of chemical equations start with one atmosphere of pressure regarding enthalpies of formation, forming chemical compounds such as minerals. Where is the chemistry of vacuum to account for mineral growth to begin with? It's ignored, ladies and gentlemen. Just so we are clear how the chain of events happens and how establishment ignores it, I can break it down very easily. First, you have to combine elements to make molecules. Then you take those molecules and layer them to form minerals. Then you take those minerals and mix them to form rocks. Then you clump their small rocks together until they make really big objects. Then the objects differentiate based on their weight. And I have here, it should be brought to the attention of the reader, how do the elements combine to make molecules in the vacuum of outer space, absent pressure and activation energy? How do those compounds layer themselves, absent any coherent direction? Remember, there is no gravitation while the pebbles are forming. How do the minerals mix up to form rocks, absent any mechanism in outer space to do the mixing? So they have like invisible blenders mixing the minerals together to form rocks? How do you clump together the small rocks absent a gravitational field, and given it is a known fact that they will bounce off each other and not coalesce? Remember, they're traveling really, really fast, so it's like two guns shooting at each other, expecting the bullets to coalesce with each other. How do these larger rocks differentiate based on their weight, absent a heat source, and ignoring the fact that they have already become crystalline structure in the first steps? That's inexcusable for their bogus explanations. It sounds like establishment astrophysics is a mix of wishful thinking, miracles, and ignorance of simple chemical and geological understanding. And then I have here at the very bottom, I can answer the questions, but establishment noobs won't like the answer. Number 1. A star combines elements to make molecules as a majority of its material is fully ionized. This is when the star is really young and hot. Recombining the ionized material will form molecules. The star provides the pressure and activation energy in the form of gravitational collapse, electrical arcing, and magnetic pinching. Number 2. The star provides the coherent direction down into its interior. It is the pre-existing gravitational well to collect all the material. Number 3. The star does the mixing via the rock cycle. Bad news for geologists, they have been ignoring earlier stages of the star's evolution. Number 4. Well, obviously other phase transitions, much higher energy phase transitions when the material is supercritical, but more on that later. Number 4. The star will clump together the rocks. There is no escape. Gravity holds everything in place unless the rocks fully ionize again, and they get expelled via CME or solar wind. Number 5. The differentiation isn't done via weight alone. The properties, ionization energies of the material determine its placement during the process of differentiation. And I put here, sorry, the iron catastrophe is hocus pocus. So I guess I could call this the Iron Catastrophe Part 2. Essentially, when establishment, they thought up the Iron Catastrophe, they weren't necessarily looking for an actual explanation. What they were looking for is to explain it away. They didn't want an explanation because they didn't have one. So they had to explain it away. Say, oh, well, how did the iron nickel core of the Earth, which is 1,600 miles, I think, diameter, form in the center of the Earth? The most massive structure that's central to the very structure of the Earth itself. How did that get there? Geologists, who cares? Chemists, who cares? Astronomers, who cares? They're too busy with their telescopes. They're sitting there looking through the telescopes up into the sky, not realizing that they're standing on a gigantic celestial object. An object that could bring so many secrets to the forefront. Except instead of looking at the Earth as a celestial object, they push it off as the geologist's problem. Say, geologists, they can handle that. Yet, the Earth is floating in outer space. It's a astrophysical problem. If we're going to explain how the Earth got to be the way it is genuine astrophysics. But astrophysicists are like, well, we're not educated to look at the Earth in that light. Well, you should be. Because when you're looking through your telescopes, you're going to be looking for new Earths. You're going to expect to see what's on here, on this star, this very ancient star. So, yeah, it's about time we stop trying to explain away the most important structures concerning the process of stellar evolution and really examining them for what they really are. Just because you don't see it every day doesn't mean it's not there. But that's what, astronomers, they like to do. They like to give the stars in the sky the most attention, and the Earth is just for the geologists or the dirt people. But, anyways, I'll go ahead and link that to the bottom. Everybody have a good day.